There are words that do not merely describe reality, they create it. Words that echo in dimensions unseen, reshaping the very field in which your life unfolds. These are not affirmations in the casual sense, but sacred codes, vibratory sequences that, when spoken with presence, open doors the logical mind cannot comprehend. In the silence between your thoughts, in the spaces where doubt dissolves, lies a truth few dare to remember. The universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you are, and who you are is revealed, amplified, and crystallized by the words you choose to speak. Every phrase you utter is a declaration to the field, not merely sound, but intention molded into form. And the field listens, always. Weiss once said, "Inner peace doesn't come when everything around you is calm. It comes when your mind is calm in the midst of chaos." The words we speak to ourselves quietly and constantly define whether our mind becomes a sanctuary or a battlefield, and most of us have forgotten that we are the authors. What if you remembered? What if your words were chosen not from habit but from clarity, not from fear but from love? This isn't about forcing positivity. The universe doesn't recognize the fake smile. It recognizes vibration, frequency, alignment. When your words align with your inner truth, not the one you perform for the world, but the one you hide behind silence, then the field begins to rearrange itself around that resonance. There are specific words, ancient in energy, simple in form, that begin to unlock this process. Words that, when spoken with trust and presence, create a magnetic pull impossible to ignore. Not by people, not by circumstances, not even by the universe itself. But before we arrive at these words, you must arrive within yourself. There is no shortcut through this journey. You are not here to manipulate reality. You are here to remember that you are reality, in motion, in form, in expression. So I ask you now, when was the last time you listened to the voice within you? Not the voice of fear or memory, but the quiet whisper underneath calling you home. This voice speaks a language older than language itself. It does not shout. It invites, and its vocabulary begins not with control, but with surrender, not with demand, but with resonance, and that is where we begin. In the chapters ahead, we will explore the exact words that awaken this remembering, words that shift not only your mindset, but the very frequency of your life, words that dissolve resistance, words that call in synchronicity, words that make the universe stop, listen and respond. But first, allow this silence, let the noise fade. Feel the space between each breath. In that stillness, you are preparing the field. Speak less, feel more. The universe is listening, and soon it will answer. If this moment stirred something inside you, an echo, a spark, a remembrance, subscribe to the channel. Let this be the beginning of your return. Every word carries a seed of intention, and intention is not a thought, it is a vibration. A silent, invisible force that moves faster than light and deeper than reason. Before a word reaches your lips, it has already shaped the air around you. It has already begun weaving into the tapestry of what will come. Weiss often spoke of the soul's timeless journey, a journey where healing does not occur by accident, but through awareness, choice, and intention. In his regressions, people remembered lifetimes through feelings, sensations, and spontaneous utterances, proving that words are not just expressions of memory, but vehicles of awakening. So ask yourself, what energy rides behind your words? Are they born of clarity or of noise? Are they aligned with your truth or a mask worn to please, avoid, or escape? The universe is not confused. It mirrors what you transmit, not what you pretend. When you say, "I am ready," do you mean it? Or do you whisper it with clenched fear and hidden doubt? When you speak of love, does it vibrate from your being? Or do you recite it like a forgotten poem? There is a difference, and that difference defines the life you experience. Intention is the inner flame. Words are the breath that carries its smoke into form, and if your words are empty of real intention, they collapse, like paper in rain. Weiss teaches that healing begins when the conscious mind surrenders control and the soul steps forward. In that state, words become bridges, not commands, invitations, not weapons. This is why spiritual traditions, ancient and modern, have always emphasized the sacredness of sound, not for superstition, but because vibration is the architecture of existence. Chanting, mantras, prayers, they are not magical because of syllables, but because of intention infused in repetition. The heart fuels the frequency. In your own life, begin to notice how you speak about yourself. Do your words nurture your becoming, or do they imprison you in past definitions? Observe the casual phrases, "I'm always like this," "Nothing ever changes," "I guess I can't." These are not throwaway statements. They are unconscious contracts, signed and reinforced through repetition. When spoken enough, they become truths, not because they are real, but because you've woven them into your identity. To shift your life, you must first shift the language that defines your life, and that begins with sacred honesty, not forced affirmations, not spiritual bypassing, but truth, real, resonant truth. For example, "I am learning to trust," simple, honest, vibrationally open, or "I don't know how, but I believe something greater is guiding me." That is not weakness. That is power softened by surrender. These kinds of statements open pathways. They don't force, they invite. And the universe loves an invitation rooted in authenticity. Remember, you are not trying to convince the universe. You are aligning with it. The universe is already moving, already listening, already responding. Your task is not to control its response, but to become coherent with it. And coherence begins inside. You may have thought words were tools to explain life, but they are much more. They are tuning forks for your frequency. They calibrate your field. They anchor your presence. When chosen with care, they stop time and bend space. So speak as if the universe is in the room with you, because it is. Every emotion you feel colors the vibration of the words you speak. Words are not independent of your emotional state. They are infused with it. They carry the subtle scent of your energy, whether you intend it or not. This is why two people can say the same phrase, yet only one creates impact. The difference is resonance. Weiss often witnessed patients access profound healing, not through complex language, but through emotionally charged realization. In trance, they would whisper a single word: forgive, return, truth. And that one word, spoken from the core, would ripple through lifetimes. Emotion is the amplifier. It makes your words magnetic or repellent. It builds coherence or contradiction. The universe does not respond to empty words, it responds to vibrational consistency. If you declare abundance while bathing in lack, the field receives the contradiction. If you speak of trust while vibrating in fear, the signal becomes distorted. This is not about perfection, it's about awareness, about congruence. So the question is not only what are you saying, but from where inside are you saying it? Language is a mirror of your inner landscape. You can memorize mantras, repeat affirmations, speak with eloquence, but if the emotion underneath is fragmented, the field will feel it. Nothing can be faked. The energy doesn't lie. This is why self-awareness is essential, not as a tool to correct yourself, but to become transparent with your own soul. Say the words slowly, honestly, and notice how your body reacts. I deserve love. If your chest tightens, if your breath shortens, then something inside still resists. That resistance is not a flaw, it's a doorway, a teacher. Weiss taught that when memories arise during regression, they are invitations for integration, not judgment. The same applies here. If a word feels uncomfortable, it may be brushing against an old wound. And that discomfort is the path to liberation. Words spoken from woundedness often carry the energy of defense or grasping. They seek to control, to prove, to protect. But words spoken from wholeness carry softness, depth, and clarity. They don't push, they radiate. Practice becoming emotionally congruent before speaking your sacred words. Breathe, feel, align. Let your inner state become the ground from which your language grows. It may take longer, but it will be real. This is not a performance, it's an alchemical process. You are not trying to trick the universe into giving you something. You are becoming the version of yourself who naturally attracts it. That becoming is marked by emotional coherence, and in this coherence, even the simplest words carry immense power. Imagine whispering, "Thank you," from a heart overflowing with trust, or saying, "I am ready," from a place of peace, not urgency. These words, charged with sincerity, move through the quantum field like notes in a sacred song. They are not asking, they are harmonizing. You may have thought the universe was ignoring you, but it was only waiting for your signal to stabilize. And that stabilization begins with feeling, deeply, vulnerably, without resistance. Let your emotions guide your words. Let your words reflect your truth, and the universe will begin to arrange itself around the frequency of who you are, not just who you hope to be. You are not far. You are already at the edge of the shift. Breathe into it. At some point, the ordinary becomes holy, not because it changes, but because your perception does. And when you begin to speak with awareness, every word becomes a ritual, not a routine, not a habit, but a sacred act of alignment. This is where the transformation deepens. You begin to notice how you speak not only about yourself, but about others, about life, about possibility. You begin to see that your language is not simply expressive, it is formative. You are not just telling stories, you are writing reality. Weiss often emphasized that time is not linear, and neither is transformation. Sometimes a single realization, a single word uttered in the right moment, can ripple across timelines, healing not just this life, but echoes of lives before. This is the weight and grace of language when it is used with reverence. So, what happens when you treat your words as prayer? You pause. You feel. You wait until your inner being aligns with what you are about to release into the world. This is the shift, from reactive speech to intentional offering. You are no longer casting words like stones. You are planting them like seeds. Speak, not because you want to fill the silence, but because something real is ready to emerge from it. This doesn't mean becoming silent forever. It means becoming precise, aligned, responsible for the ripples you create, not out of fear, but out of love. In many spiritual traditions, the ritual begins with purification. In this context, it means purifying your language, releasing complaint, sarcasm, manipulation, exaggeration, not because these are morally wrong, but because they dilute your signal. They scatter your frequency. Weiss taught that healing requires surrender, a release of the stories that no longer serve. Language is how many of those stories stay alive. When you stop repeating the narrative, the pain no longer has a place to live. Try this. Speak one full day as if the universe was transcribing every word and preparing to respond with precision. Notice what you filter. Notice what you emphasize. Observe what shifts. You may find yourself speaking less, but meaning more. You may discover silence is not emptiness. It is presence waiting to be filled with truth. And when you do speak, let the words be sacred, not dramatic, not inflated, but honest, potent, alive. A ritual is not about complexity, it is about presence. Lighting a candle with intention can be more powerful than an hour of distracted ceremony. In the same way, one sentence spoken from the heart is more powerful than 1,000 affirmations recited from fear. This is not a performance for the universe. It is a communion with it. You are not here to impress the field. You are here to harmonize with it. So speak as a ritualist, as a poet, as a soul remembering its power, and above all, listen. Not just with your ears, but with your energy. The universe is speaking too, in whispers, in symbols, in timing. When your words begin to echo what you receive, you enter coherence. This is the dance. This is the ritual. And the more you engage it, the more the field begins to move with you. Fluid, generous, precise. Your voice becomes a tuning fork. Your speech becomes ceremony. And reality responds accordingly. Now that the inner field has been cleared, that your awareness has softened into presence, and your language reclaimed as ritual, it is time. The words you've been seeking are not complicated. They are not magic formulas to manipulate reality. They are gateways, frequencies, keys that open not because of how loudly they are spoken, but because of the state from which they arise. The first word is I allow. Not I want, not I demand, but I allow. It is the language of surrender, not passivity, but trust. It tells the universe, I am no longer resisting. I am opening. I am no longer trying to force the unfolding. I am in harmony with what is already trying to reach me. I allow love. I allow abundance. I allow clarity. This is not begging. This is alignment. The second word is I remember. When you say I remember, you are not just recalling a thought. You are reactivating your origin. You are reconnecting with the frequency of who you truly are, beyond fear, beyond illusion, beyond programming. I remember that I am safe. I remember that I am guided. I remember that I am enough. This word is especially potent in moments of doubt. It draws you back from forgetfulness into presence. The third word is thank you. Gratitude is not merely a virtue, it is a frequency that precedes the arrival of miracles. When you say thank you not just after receiving, but before, you are showing the universe that you trust its rhythm. You are speaking as if it's already done, and that shifts everything. Thank you for the healing I cannot yet see. Thank you for the love finding its way to me. Thank you for the version of me I'm becoming. Gratitude opens the field like sunlight through frozen ground. It melts resistance. These words, I allow, I remember, thank you, are simple, yes. But in simplicity lives the deepest power. When spoken with coherence, they reshape the energetic architecture of your life. Use them not as chants to escape your pain, but as invitations to deepen into your truth. Speak them slowly. Breathe with them. Let them echo in the space between your thoughts. Say them when you wake, when you fall asleep, when doubt creeps in, when clarity shines through. These words are not tools. They are companions, guides, mirrors. And over time, something changes. Not because you've forced life into your terms, but because you've met life with open arms, with reverence, with clarity. Brian Weiss once said, "Destiny is not a matter of chance, but of choice, not something to be waited for, but something to be achieved." These words spoken from your center are that choice. The more consistently you embody them, the more the field around you begins to soften. Synchronicities increase, the right people appear, resistance fades, not because the external has changed overnight, but because you have. You've entered into a conscious relationship with the universe. You speak, it listens, it moves, you receive. This is not superstition, it is frequency in action. Language as resonance, life as reflection. So now I invite you, carry these words forward, not just in mind, but in breath, in heart, in being. Speak them as rituals. Let them become your rhythm. I allow, I remember, thank you, and watch what happens next. If these words touched your soul, subscribe to the channel and click on the video that just appeared on your screen. It was chosen especially for you. I know you'll love it.